The year is 1861. Fort Sumter has fallen. A nation once indivisible now stands divided, bracing for a conflict unlike any it has ever seen. The American Civil War, a brutal and bloody affair, would claim the lives of over 600,000 souls. Yet, amidst the carnage, a different kind of revolution was taking place. The sheer scale of suffering and death on the battlefields necessitated rapid advancements in medical practices and a desperate search for new medicines. These innovations, born out of necessity, would not only save countless lives during the war, but also lay the foundation for modern medical practices as we know them. Join us as we uncover the medical legacy of the Civil War, a legacy that continues to resonate in hospitals and clinics across the nation and around the world. Imagine the horrors of the battlefield, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and the cries of the wounded. In the midst of this chaos, surgeons labored tirelessly. Before the war, surgery was a crude and agonizing affair. Patients, often held down by force, endured unimaginable suffering. The Civil War saw the rise of a new era in surgery, one marked by the use of chloroform and ether as anesthetics. These volatile liquids, inhaled by the patient, offered a merciful escape from pain, rendering them unconscious during the most harrowing procedures. Chloroform and ether allowed for more complex and time-consuming surgeries, procedures that would have been unimaginable just a few years prior. The widespread use of anesthesia during the Civil War forever changed the landscape of medicine, paving the way for the modern operating rooms we know today. The Civil War was fought on two fronts, against a visible enemy on the battlefield and an invisible one in the swamps and rivers of the South. Malaria. This disease, spread by mosquitoes, ravaged both armies. Quinine from the cinchona tree became crucial in the fight against malaria. The Union Army mass-produced and distributed quinine pills. These pills warded off debilitating fevers, keeping soldiers fit for duty. The battlefields of the Civil War were landscapes of unimaginable suffering. Amputations without anesthesia were commonplace, and the cries of men in agony echoed through the makeshift hospitals. In the face of such pain, a new drug emerged as both a blessing and a curse: morphine. Derived from the opium poppy, morphine offered unparalleled pain relief. Injected directly into the bloodstream, morphine provided a swift and potent analgesic effect, dulling even the most excruciating pain. For countless soldiers, morphine offered a blessed respite from the horrors of war. Yet this miracle drug came with a dark side addiction. Many soldiers, after experiencing the blissful relief morphine offered, found themselves dependent on the drug. This dependence, often referred to as soldier's disease, plagued veterans long after the war had ended, leaving a lasting legacy of addiction and its devastating consequences. Picture the aftermath of a major battle. The ground littered with the dead and dying, the air thick with the stench of blood and gunpowder. In this chaos, field hospitals and triage emerged. Medical care was haphazard before the Civil War. The wounded often fended for themselves, succumbing to injuries before reaching a doctor. The Civil War developed structured battlefield medicine. The Civil War was an era of brutal warfare, marked by powerful weaponry. The mini-ball caused devastating injuries. Surgeons faced a grim choice: amputate or risk infection. Amputation became a grim necessity. Surgeons, often working in unsanitary conditions, became skilled in amputations. Using saws and knives, they removed shattered limbs quickly. Amputation saved countless lives. Imagine the conditions in a Civil War camp. Thousands of men living in cramped and unsanitary conditions, ripe for the spread of disease. In the early days of the war, more soldiers died from disease than from battle wounds. Typhoid, dysentery, and measles swept through the ranks, decimating armies as effectively as any enemy force. Recognizing the urgent need to improve hygiene and sanitation, a group of concerned citizens formed the United States Sanitary Commission in 1861. This civilian organization, staffed by volunteers, dedicated itself to improving the health and well-being of soldiers, both on and off the battlefield. The Commission's impact was profound. They distributed medical supplies, advocated for better camp sanitation, and educated soldiers on the importance of personal hygiene. The Commission's efforts led to a significant reduction in the spread of disease, saving countless lives and transforming the way armies thought about hygiene and sanitation. The specter of disease loomed large over the battlefields of the Civil War. Smallpox posed a constant threat to soldiers and civilians alike. Amidst the carnage, a glimmer of hope emerged: vaccines. Vaccination saw significant advancements during the Civil War. Soldiers were vaccinated against smallpox, reducing the incidence of this deadly disease. The Civil War served as a catalyst for progress in immunology. Imagine a Civil War surgeon surrounded by the wounded, frantically trying to save lives. In the chaos, he scribbles notes on scraps of paper, documenting injuries and treatments. These notes became the foundation for systematic medical record-keeping. Before the Civil War, record-keeping was haphazard and inconsistent. Surgeons began keeping detailed records, noting wounds, treatments, and outcomes. This era emphasized accurate and comprehensive record-keeping in patient care and research. Amidst the carnage and chaos of the Civil War, a new breed of medical professional emerged: the battlefield nurse. These courageous men and women, often working long hours in appalling conditions, provided comfort, care, and a glimmer of hope to wounded soldiers. Prior to the war, nursing was not considered a respectable profession, often relegated to untrained volunteers or family members. But the Civil War, with its unprecedented number of casualties, highlighted the desperate need for skilled and dedicated nurses. Women like Clara Barton, who would later found the American Red Cross, answered the call to service, organizing and training nurses to care for the wounded. These nurses tended to wounds, administered medication, and offered comfort and compassion to soldiers facing unimaginable pain and suffering. The dedication and compassion of these Civil War nurses paved the way for the professionalization of nursing, a legacy that continues to shape the field today. In the heat of battle, every second counts. For a wounded soldier, the difference between life and death depended on quick medical attention. The Civil War saw the birth of the organized ambulance corps. Staffed by trained personnel, they transported the injured efficiently. These corps were the precursors to modern emergency medical services. As the smoke cleared from the battlefields of the Civil War, a nation lay in ruins. Yet, amidst the devastation, a legacy of medical innovation and compassion emerged. The medical advancements developed during the Civil War were born out of necessity. From the introduction of anesthesia to the establishment of field hospitals and the rise of the nursing profession, the Civil War served as a catalyst for progress in the medical field. Its legacy can still be seen today in hospitals and clinics across the nation.